Hello, everybody, and welcome to our today's webinar with the Migration Center team again. Today's session focuses all around our new platform, Hyland OnBase, and how to successfully migrate your content and data to it. Before we start, we have one mandatory slide of housekeeping. Please note that all attendees are muted during the whole session. For any questions, inquiries, or remarks, you can place them into the questions or chat panel per default on your right-hand side. And please also note that this webinar is being recorded, and once we have it processed, we'll share it with you after the session, of course. Before I hand over to our first speaker, let me introduce today's speakers. First up, we have Fredrik Olsson, our senior sales and responsible for partner management at FME Products. And after that, Mike Woudenberg will take over, our senior consultant here at FME Products. And with that being said, I would like to hand over to our first speaker, Fredrik.
Yes, hello, and welcome to today's session. Happy to see that so many have logged in, and we're going to talk about successful content and data migration to Hyland OnBase, and we're going to look into a few things about specialty about our new Hyland importer. Migration Center, what are the main problems we solve for our customers? Well, we preserve the data integrity through auditable migration process and help to accomplish migration without any downtimes. We also reduce migration duration significantly. This can be very fast. It can be very fast. We also help to transform, enrich, clean, and standardize metadata. We secure high volume data migrations. And also we secure legal and audit compliant migrations. So we make complex migration projects predictable for our clients. A little bit about FME, who we are. Well, we are part of a digital transformation in life science, industrial manufacturing, and more. The more is exactly what we do in products. We are industry independent. FME, we do consulting, concept development, and maintenance. And the product we have today, and show today, is Migration Center. We come from 25 years of enterprise content management. Throughout the years, we have continued to develop other areas as well, like business intelligence, cloud, social collaboration, and custom software. We were founded in 1995, have about 280 employees, and we have offices throughout Germany. We have a nearshore office in Romania, and we have a full office in the US. And we hope it's going to be the FME you love to work with. Common use cases. Well, complex content-centric applications are our focus. So we have a few use cases. The classical one is migration of legacy or outdated enterprise content management solutions and platforms. We also do on-premise to cloud migrations. We do cloud to cloud, and also migration due to storage shift and in-place migration. We also support in rollout, initial content migration for file shares, and to fill up information in the system you have, content migration for legacy or third-party products. We also support decommissioning and retirement. We also do archiving. So once you start to migrate into a new system, why not archive older and not used data into an archive? So you can split the data. So enterprise application can be archived. You can email archiving and backup and recovering repositories. Some other use cases we do have is test data generation, timescale batch import. Also, we do reclassification of content objects, and of course, metadata enrichment and cleansing, making sure that the data is better when you migrate into a new system. Today, we're going to look into Hyland and the Hyland OnBase. We have a few additional specific use cases here. So for platform consolidation, we can consolidate of several source platforms to Hyland OnBase. So if you have more than one system, we can support you and bring all this information into the new OnBase. We maintain critical documents with safety, consistency, regulatory compliance, while reducing the maintenance and cost dramatically, of course, because you can turn off your old platform. We help with the rollout of Hyland OnBase, integrate and migrate documents. We maintain critical documents with safety, consistent regulatory compliance while reducing maintenance costs dramatically, again. Decommissioning, archiving. We separate active from inactive content. Content from different sources can be analyzed, classified, and imported to Hyland OnBase, and so on and so forth. So we have brought out a few functionalities in OnBase and added it to our importer. And I know that Mike will go into a little bit more specific on that later on. So why use the Migration Center? Well, first of all, Migration Center is 100% out-of-the-box content migration platform. So there's no additional programming or scripting effort to be done. So all you have to do is to configure and start migrating. We have more than 500 custom, a couple of thousand projects worldwide, been 15 plus years on the market, and we support more than 220 migration paths from multiple platforms. And we also fit for regulated systems. So as you can see on the left-hand side, we have a lot of pharmaceutical companies, and that is the most regulated industry in the world. And to have 9 out of 10 top pharmaceutical company is also a quality test stamp for us. But like I said before, we are industry independent. So we work with any industries who has important documents and they need to be migrated from A to B or to be archived. Of course, we are certified by leading ECM vendors and so on and so forth. The solution overview, I would like to hand over the word to Mike and to take care of that one.
Yeah, thank you very much, Fredrik, for the great introduction. So my name is Mike, and I also want to welcome everyone attending here the webinar. So yeah, we are at the solution overview. So this is basically how Migration Center is built. It consists out of 3 components. We have a central database in the middle in the picture, and we have a job server, which is a scalable unit and can be installed many times if you want high performance. And then we have a client, one or many, to control the whole migration. So the client is really the only contact point. Basically, you need to configure what you want to scan, to configure transformation rules, to transform the metadata values and do attribute mappings, and also to click a button to run an import. So you don't need to configure anything in any XML or configuration files. So yeah, regarding the picture, so on the left-hand side, you see source connectors, and on the right-hand side, you see the target connectors. The Migration Center in the middle is basically an API and framework. It's like a center, so that's why a Migration Center is a central platform. You just basically plug the connectors corresponding to the different source and target systems to its framework. So as you see, we have many source connectors supporting the big vendors like Microsoft, OpenText, Fresco, Generis, but also we have generic solutions for file shares, SQL databases, XML, and CSV, and so on, and also support custom systems. So custom system means you can, if we have, or if you have a system where we don't have a dedicated connector then you can, or we can build a connector together with you or with a partner and plug it into the ecosystem Migration Center. That's a quite easy task because the framework in the middle is handling everything like starting, stopping, scanning, transforming, and importing. The connector is then connecting to the corresponding platform. So today it's about Hyland OnBase. On the target side here, so you see you can come from many different sources and migrate into Hyland OnBase. Yeah, we support many different target path combinations. So for Hyland OnBase, we have 2 different approaches. So first, and most of you know this already, so there's a DIP, right? It's a document import processor. So at first we supported the DIP process in with using our file share importer to generate the files and metadata XML files on a file system. So Migration Center in that regards prepares all the files which are going to be used in the dip process to be imported into OnBase. And the Migration Center offers you to separate the content, to organize the batches, and to really transform the metadata and attribute values as you need them. So you can, after that, also they get validated, and after that you can easily use the dip process in OnBase. But today we are also gonna, that's really good news. We are gonna talk about, and I show you in the live demo, the Hyland OnBase dedicated importer. It's a huge step forward, because now we don't need the dip process anymore, because we directly trigger the Unity API in a new OnBase connector. So this will really help you to not have a process in between. Like first you prepare the files with Migration Center, and then you use OnBase board tool to import the files, rather than you have a streamlined migration with full control from A to B or from A to Z. So also including error handling and the whole framework. So you can really care, or you really count on the Migration Center to move the files from the source platform to the target platform, while we are staying in control, and you always have the overview, which was done when and so on. So you don't have a middle step, and that's a big thing, I would say. One example for the basically the technical footprint, so to speak, on premise. So, and also an example of the scalable components. As I said, we have one Migration Center central database down there. This is basically the brain. It controls scanned and imported files. It stores all the configuration and metadata, and also helps you to not process anything twice, and so on. So that's the database. And then we have the job servers. And here, as an example, we have 3 job servers on the left-hand side responsible for scanning. So basically, they extract the documents and metadata into the Migration Center database. And then on the right-hand side, we have 3 job servers for importing or ingesting documents and metadata into the target system, which is OnBase in our case. And this is just an example. You can also use just one job server for doing scannings and importings. And also one job server can handle multi-threading jobs. So you can start multiple jobs at the same time in one job server. But if you need the maximum performance and you want to have the fastest migration you can get, you can scale it up with our job servers, with the job server count, and then we reach the performance of the base, most of the times the target system, which is the bottleneck in most cases. And on top there, we have one or several clients, as I said, to configure the migration, the whole configuration for the whole migration. Then we have what I call set by set, and next slide is step by step. So what we mean with set by set processing is really that you, compared to other ETL, maybe basic ETL tools, extract, transform, and load. In Migration Center, you can really organize and configure the whole migration as you need it. For example, here we have 1 million source objects, which were scanned with one scanner. So in Migration Center, you can already divide that onto several scanners, so that you scan 10,000 documents with 10 scanners, for example. But once you scanned, let's say, 1 million source objects, you have another place where you can filter and exclude objects which maybe doesn't belong together. So you use any kind of attributes you have scanned from the source system, any attribute metadata, object type, document class, or user creation date, folder path. So you can use any scanned information and also combine those information in a filter, so that you basically end up in having migration sets, what we call migration set, or in short, mix sets. It's basically a scope of documents which have something in common, right? So for example, they share the attributes. They are all from marketing department, or they are all maybe not modified in the last 10 years. Or one mix set can also go into an archive system, and the other mix set is going to OnBase in the active system. So, but you end up with mix sets, and you are in full control of organizing those mix sets. And one mix set can also have individual transformation rules and attribute mappings. So it really, yeah, gives you the power to organize the migration as you need it in terms of time and in terms of yeah, attribute or metadata values. And you can do them like set by set and prioritize them also. Yeah, you're really in full control doing your migration in waves or whatever the migration concept is stated there. So yeah, you're in full control and it's very flexible. And then we have, yeah, what I said, step by step, or with other words, this is like a process overview in Migration Center. It looks a little bit complex at the first glance, maybe, but yeah, let me explain it to you. So we divided the whole process in 6 phases. So we have analyze, extract, which is meaning the scanning, the extraction from the source system into Migration Center, and then you can analyze the data. So what attributes you have, how many documents, and so on. Then we have organize, which we just saw on the previous slide. So you build specific migration sets as you need them. For example, marketing, sales, modified over 5 years, and so on. So absolutely up to you. And then we have transform, validate, and correct. And this is like a circle here because yeah, Migration Center, it works like you create some transformation rules, and this is basically an attribute mapping, right? You say, okay, this source attribute needs to be associated or mapped to that target attribute. And you can also change values in the middle. So you can merge or substring or cut or, you know, really change the values as you need them for the target system, and also enrich the metadata with external information. But once you do that, so you basically click a button and then you go to transformed status. And then we also have a validate state, which is validating the newly transformed metadata values against the target type, object type definition, or in OnBase, it's a document type. So here it will check if the attribute value is, for example, if mandatory attribute values are set, or if values are not exceeding the length or minimum length or maximum length of the target site definition, and so on and so on. So that's done with the click on of a button, and then you see, okay, this attribute is fine, this needs to be checked, so this is not validated. And then we have the correct phase where you just, yeah, where you change then certain attribute rules to, yeah, because they are basically not fitting into the target system as they are, so you change them, click a button again, validate again, and correct again. So basically, it sounds complicated, but you do that with some clicks of buttons, and then you end up in the state of validated documents. And that's also important in Migration Center, or with Migration Center, you can validate document or metadata values before you actually touch the target system. So that really saves a lot of time because you don't need to try, maybe in a big bang approach, to try something and then see what the target system is telling you. And then you try again or change something, maybe roll back and try again, and so on. So Migration Center, you really validate everything before you really do the import. Yeah, the import is then the import. So the documents and metadata are coming from Migration Center and are going into the target system in OnBase. And then one word maybe beyond the import, even if you have some errors because the target system has maybe through an error, like the easiest is the system is down for that moment, or maybe some objects which are necessary in the target system are not found. So even after import, you basically go back into the transform phase, and then you can do the error handling. So imagine you have 1 million documents and maybe 10% failed at the import. You have not lost the 90% successfully imported documents. You just do maybe change something on the 10% or change the target, the server, and then you redo the import, and Migration Center will help you to get all the documents into the new system. And you don't need to redo anything which was successful before you do the errors. Right, and that's it for the slides for me. So now we will have a short live demo. I want to show you a simple example in Migration Center, scanning a file system and using the new Hyland importer to directly import the documents into OnBase. So I will keep that easy. I try. So let's see, on the test system here, on the file system, we have a test data folder, which is customer projects. Very basic, nothing too special. So I just want to scan that folder. So all I need is the Migration Center client. It is connected with one job server and with a database. And once that is done, we can start and create a scanner. So a scanner is a scanning configuration with parameters. So let's open the file system scanner. And here we have the mandatory parameter, which is scan folder path. So what folder I want to scan, right? So you can also scan file shares in the network, of course. And here I choose the job server. Okay, and then we have other parameters to filter things out or to scan extended metadata and so on and so on. But I will not use it for today's demo. So I just click OK to save the configuration, and then I click on Run to let that configuration run. And now I can click on History, and actually it's already finished. So the file system scanner is really fast. So it took some seconds for 1,600 documents. Okay, once scanned, you can also have a look to them, to the metadata, and that's a typical grid you see in Migration Center when you work with documents and metadata. So you see everything you have scanned, the content location, the file type, and then some attributes from the file system, which is limited compared to real document management systems, right? But still, you can max out the information from file system to OnBase or any other system with transformation rules. Okay, so we have file name, extension, content size, an owner name, permissions, and parent folder. Okay, maybe one word for that. So when you want to share this information, for example, with the business department or the key users, you may show and hide certain columns to your convenience, like you want to focus on only some. And then you can export it to a CSV file to put it into an Excel file, for example, and then share it with the important key users, right? So for example, you can say, this is what we have scanned from your file system, and now we need an attribute mapping because those attributes are different attributes in the target system. So and you can do that at any stage of Migration Center, and that's a really good tool for communication and to let the users see what you've done or what they have, and then after the transformation, what you've done with the attributes, and if that's okay, right? So they can confirm the mapping. Right. Once in Migration Center, now we can start and create a migration set. So to create a migration set, you click on New. I've prepared one here. So you give it a name, so you can organize it very flexible to your needs. Then you choose a type, which is a path. So we're coming from file system, we go to Hyland OnBase. So if you had another path, of course, you would choose it here. Then we have some tabs up here. So we have file scan selection, which is showing our previous made scan with 1,600 files. And then you could go ahead and exclude files from that scan because you want to put them into another mix set, right? So for example, we have files from marketing and sales in here, and you want to exclude finance from sales, so, finance from marketing, whatever, then you can do it here and create another mix set to put the rest of the files in there. So yeah, let me quickly show you. We have exclude objects by values, which is showing a distinct list of available attributes from the file system or from the scan. And then you have a distinct list of values. And for example, you may say, I don't want to have GIF files in that mix set, so I exclude all the GIF objects or pictures basically from that mix set. Yeah, maybe we leave it here. So, and then we have advanced filters where you can really set up everything you need. So you can take any kind of source attributes, combine it with any operator, and then even combine those like database queries. So you get really only the documents you need specifically in that mix set. Okay, I won't do that here now. Okay, now you see I have 1,400 documents, and the next thing is, yeah, you need to go, or in general, you need to go from unprocessed objects to transformed and validated and imported, right? What you see in the process list. Basically, that's the circle here I mentioned before. So to do that, we go into transformation rules. Then we simply can generate the rules. So that means we just take one-to-one the attributes from the source, from the file system, and then we have one rule for each attribute we have scanned. Right, so in OnBase, nothing too special here. We can define the file format for the import, and we define the target type, and I use OnBase, or the document type is it in OnBase, so I use OnBase document as a target type. Then we check the association. So here we have the type, and now I can just, it's one by one. So I take the original value from the file system and I associate with the target type attribute or document type keyword. In OnBase, they are called keywords. So let's just go ahead and do the modified date, the owner name, and maybe the content size. Okay, then I have associated all the attributes. So that's basically the attribute mapping. Once it's done, I save it again with a button, and then I click on Apply Transformation and Validation. So now it's doing that on the database level or layer, so it's in the background. It's really fast, even if you have 20, 25, 30 attributes, because it's on the database layer, it's really fast to process in the background. Once finished, we have validated documents here. That means now we can go ahead and do the import because we have newly transformed metadata, and then we have checked it against the document type keywords limitations in OnBase. So that means those documents should go in fine. If you have any other error besides the metadata values, we will see that after the import. So I close the mixed as well, and then I go to importers. And here it looks very similar to the scanner region here. So yeah, as I said previously, we had we have the dip importer where we're using the file system. But today we want to use our new OnBase importer, which can directly import the documents using the Unity API. So once opened, I also have the job server, which is running on that machine here. Then I do need to enter some credentials like the username and password and the server URL. And yeah, that's basically it. We're also supporting multi-threading here, so I put 20 threads in there. So then let's assign the mixed and let the configuration run. So we can check the history one was here, and then we can also organize the windows like that. And also we have a jobs panel overview. When you click on jobs, you see the status of the migration, of the scan or of the import. In this case, it's the importer running. You see a percentage progress also. And also to mention here, you can also stop and pause the run at any time, right? The framework is covering that no document or no information gets lost because the import is done in a transactional way. So when you click on stop, the Migration Center database will basically store that information. It knows which document was already imported or on which document it stopped. So when you stop it at any time, you can start the scan and it will just go on where it left off last time. So, okay, this is running now, and we don't need to see if it finished, but we can already check in the target system here in the old OnBase client. Yeah, actually the documents are being created in here. I have opened the search already. And if we click on one, we can check the keywords. And you see our associated attributes, like we had file name, extension, size, creation dates, and the owner. So Migration Center supports all kind of custom document types and keywords, right? So it doesn't matter. We can set everything with our flexible transformation engine. And you can also set and transform all the different values here. Right, and maybe one step or let's say one step back now, but let's say we want to see the overview. So this is also basically the region where you work most in, because you want to see the status of different migration sets, right? In a real productive migration, you would maybe have several migration sets here, and in that overview, you can always see the status. So if they are imported, if there were any errors, or if there's something not imported yet and needs to be processed with the transformation or validation. Yeah, maybe we can wait for that, or actually we don't need to. So let's go back to the presentation. We have some more slides, so I will hand over again to Fredrik.
Yes, thank you very much, Mike. We have in this area of Migration Center, of course, we have a possibility to migrate, consolidate and decommissioning services. So if you need help with the migration, we have an expert team that does nothing else but analyze and planning and to conduct migrations. So in this area, we do analyze and planning, we do proof of concept together with our customers. We do also connector development, like Mike said. If there's any connector that you don't see on our list, we can easily in 10-15 days build one for you. We also do maintenance and support, full service, on-site and remote training of your team. We also do quality monitoring and reporting, and of course, we're going to install and configure Migration Center and making sure that the project is done from A to Z, so you don't have to worry about the migration and the quality of the migration afterwards. We can get the reports and so on and so forth. So if Migration Center is interesting for you, but also it would be interesting to have migration services, you can also talk to us. That was it for today. Thank you very much. And I will hand over the word to Mark again.
All right. Thank you to both of you, Fredrik and Mike, for the presentation and the live demo. Before we round up this session, let me point out our dedicated website of Migration Center. It's migration-center.com. And on there, you can find all our product features just being mentioned, some success stories from former clients, our service portfolio Fredrik just talked about. We also offer our former webinars as webinar recordings for you to watch at any time you like. And we have a content migration blog with some interesting topics. And most importantly, we offer a free trial version called the free evaluation copy, with which you can try out Migration Center in your own system landscape for a 14-day trial period. So just head to our website and take a look at the top right corner. There's a little button saying free trial, where you can just request your own copy of the free evaluation copy. With that being said, we are at the end of our webinar for today. Thank you for attending. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you again soon. And all of you have a great day. Goodbye.